Are you ready to stop searching outside yourself and deepen the connection that matters the most?
Welcome to the Sacred Exchange Podcast. We are your hosts, John and Catherine Graham.
After years of navigating our own spiritual paths, we have learned that true transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens in the honest and vulnerable moments when we are willing to journey within with a curious mind and heart.
Every week, we invite you to journey with us as we share our spiritual ahas, our raw truth, and deepen our understanding of the human experience.
This is a space of vulnerability and healing, where souls meet, hearts transform, and love leads the way. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sacred Exchange, where this week we're going to be talking about freedom and what that looks like, what that truly means.
We have seen this theme coming up in different ways, just for different people in regards to freedom. So I'll ask you, what does freedom mean to you?
What does freedom mean to me?
Yes.
I think my definition of freedom would be like limitless consciousness, limitless experience of reality is what freedom would mean. Like essentially the opposite of stuck. You know?
So yeah, like being liberated, right? Being free to express yourself.
Yes, well, I wasn't thinking of that kind of freedom, but yes, freedom to express, freedom to be, freedom to experience, freedom to live, freedom to love.
Yeah, so it is really just not having those boundaries. It is, but there's times where things come up and we don't see it as freedom, but really as like, when you think about the war right now, and there's a piece to that, right? Where it's like, you have in war prisoners and they want their freedom, or you have a country that's under tyranny and they want to be free.
Yeah.
But every day we have these glimpses of freedom.
Yeah.
And we don't really pay too much attention to it. Or we can be in a state of maybe a challenging things happening in your life.
Yeah.
And it is the piece that's going to lead you to freedom.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I think that's what we've been noticing a lot of patterns of is, like, first off, let me just say, the full moon that just passed, it seemed to bring up a lot of crap for a lot of people. And thankfully, I said to you earlier this week, like, I'm so glad that we've gone on the journey that we've gone on to be where we're at now, to understand how we understand now. Because if it had been, say, 5 years ago, I don't know how we would have processed a lot of the stuff that was coming up for people over the past little bit. So I want to just say that bit of it. But what we've been recognizing for a lot of the people that were around is like a complete lack of freedom in the way that they're experiencing life. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like life is showing up in the way that life does. Yeah. And sometimes life doesn't show up the way we want it to. And they're so busy fighting against life because they believe they deserve the freedom that they decided on. And because they're not receiving that, they're just losing so much energy in this fight against what things are actually happening. And I get it, because I've done it.
Well, sometimes you become so blinded by your focus on that goal of freedom that you don't see that it's literally like, right here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're so focused on what it looks like to you and what it has to look like for you to reach that peace.
Yeah.
That you don't see that it's sitting here going, hi.
Yeah. Well, and I think for myself, and perhaps for yourself as well, before I was able to really get more control of my own thoughts and emotions and stuff and kind of access a higher mind is what I call it now. I used to believe that I had to fight for peace, right? And fight for things to be the way I wanted them to be. instead of just allowing myself to experience life as it was coming and to not resist any of it, which at times is like, sometimes you do have the parts of you come up that's like, this is not what I want, and I think that's okay. But an old version of me was really like, I need to fight this reality and I need to change whatever this reality is, thinking that when I change that reality, it's going to bring peace to me, without realizing that I actually just had to become peace within myself while I'm experiencing this reality. And that's how you change the reality.
Well, and that's a great example, right, of it being right there, and you're looking all over the place for this. Where is this piece? Where is this thing that's gonna meet this criteria? And all along it was just, it's here. Right? Yeah, and I think, when we were talking about things, and specifically in May, early May, there's a number of things that people that we know that are coming up on freedom type things, like freedom from a job they didn't like, or freedom from a relationship that they were in, or whatever the case is. And it just,
divorce is being finalized.
It just seemed like there's a lot of pieces
of freedom
in those discussions that we were having.
Yeah.
And then we started talking a little bit deeper about it, and really, like, we look at these things and it's, yes, freedom, but it all comes down to that choice, right?
Yeah.
Like, freedom is right there and we could all choose it.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, we want to go always the hard road and look for a better freedom.
Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, every time reality is showing up the way that reality shows up, I think it is a lot of our ego selves or our small selves or whatever that fight that are like, no, my idea of the way a relationship is supposed to look like is based off of what Hollywood told me it's going to look like. So anything that doesn't look like this right now, I need to fight against, because what I want is that fairy tale or whatever. Meanwhile, you could be with that perfect fairy tale for you, right? It doesn't necessarily look that way. And if you can't see it, you're going to be in a constant state of fight against everything in reality. But again, it's that ego that's going, this is how it should be.
Yeah.
And because the ego is showing up instead of the higher mind or the soul self or the God self, whatever you want to call it, we end up wasting a lot of energy, but thinking that we're saving ourselves by using this kind of fight energy and like, look at how, deserving I am of this because I want it. And meanwhile, it's like your wants and even your deservingness don't necessarily narrate how reality is going to show up. Right?
Agreed. Yeah, so I don't know, I would challenge people, or not, maybe it's not a challenge, but just be observant of May and yourself and that word freedom.
Yeah.
What that looks like for you or the people around you, because it's something that's continuously popped up where it's like, we don't ask for these things to come into our purview.
Yeah.
They just when we see a pattern where it's like, oh, this and this and this.
Yeah.
And when we started even talking today, we knew that this is what we wanted to talk about, but where and what it all looked like, we didn't really have an idea.
We don't have scripts.
No.
We have freedom to say whatever we want to say. And sometimes even in that freedom, I think we surprise ourselves by some of the things that we start talking about, or some of the things that get brought up in the conversation where it's like, oh, we started with freedom, but now actually we're over here in right field and we're talking about whatever it might be.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know the significance of why this month, like, maybe there's some celestial things that are going on.
Oh, there is, yeah.
Or an alignment that it's going on, but it is very much a pattern.
Yeah.
It's just boom, 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 boom. So just something to think of.
And to ask yourself, like, where are you feeling freedom and where are you feeling stuck?
Well, I mean, the first thing I think would be like when we started the show, and I said, what is your definition of freedom?
Yeah.
Ask yourself that. What is your definition of freedom? What does that look like for you? Are you feeling trapped in a relationship or in a job or in a situation that you don't feel free? to,
Yeah.
if that's express yourself or live or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And just start looking at that piece
Yeah.
and how, and if you want to change that, because some people don't or won't.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people get very fearful or get very afraid of what is on the other side of this stuckness, right? So if you're stuck in a really bad relationship or in a relationship that's just not in alignment with you anymore, it can be very fearful to think about stepping outside of the relationship, right? There might be financial constraints. There might be like, where am I going to live? Or it might be like, what's going to happen to the kids or whatever. There's a lot of things that come in a relationship breakdown. And so people stay in that fear, right? And I think because we stay in the fear and we're not allowing ourselves to express how we're truly wanting to express ourselves, we're then putting ourselves in a jail, which then makes us feel more stuck and makes us like feel more kind of withdrawn from who we truly are, because literally our heart is saying this person is not the person for you, and you're staying with them. Or you could say the same with a job. Again, a lot of it comes down to financial freedom, which I think is very interesting. We stay in a relationship because we don't want to lose financial stability. We stay at a job because we don't want to lose financial stability. There's a lot of things that it's like it comes down to the idea of money, where we live in an abundant universe, right?
Yeah.
And so many of us are so fearful, if I don't have the money, then I can't take this next step, or I need to guarantee that I've got the money before I can book the trip or whatever. And I think you and I have gone through this many times where it's like, I don't know where we're going to get the money from, but my soul says we need to do this next.
Yeah.
Right? And the money ends up showing up. And a lot of times it's like we have to take that leap to go, this is what we're doing, and then the money will show up.
And isn't it funny that we're so afraid to take the next step, right? We could be at this point where you don't feel free or you're not happy or whatever. And on the other side of that, we automatically think it's going to be worse than what this is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, if this is bad, how can the other side of this be any worse?
Yeah. Well, and it's like...
And if it's worse, like, at least this bad piece that if you're not free or whatever, you've got that piece.
Yes. Yes.
And you can build from there. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, yeah. Yeah. When I think of, like, times where I've been totally terrified to take that next step, whatever the next step is. And I'd say 99.9% of the time, everything I was afraid was going to happen never actually happened. Yeah. And the things that I didn't even think of being afraid of happening were some of the things that would happen. But then there was a lot of things that I didn't think of that would be blessings and alignments and everything like that just started showing up. And it's like, wow, when I listen to my soul, when I listen to my heart, it's almost like the whole universe just goes unfolding for you. Here you go. So I think there's so much power when we listen to what it is our heart is trying to say to us.
Yeah, and you know, there's a term that I haven't brought up in a long time, and it's the ego hijack, right? It is literally you're in a bad place or maybe a non-preferable situation, job, whatever, and your ego is telling you, don't take that next step.
Yeah.
You're already not in a good place.
Yeah.
But your ego is trying to protect you from being in a worse place.
Well, that's what it will tell you, right?
That's why I call it the ego hijack, because it's like your ego is working against you, of trying to prevent you from becoming bigger or better or something more than what you are.
Just even happier.
To keep you at this state.
Yeah.
To keep you as this prisoner.
Yeah.
And to deny you that freedom from this, wherever that situation is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you let it, it will absolutely run you and continue to give you everything that you need to be small or stay in that place.
Absolutely.
It will give you every example, every situation. It will throw whatever it can to just support your belief that you are this small thing that doesn't deserve that freedom.
Yeah. And it's wild. Like if you can look at any situation in your life where there was a lot of fear. It was a big step. It was a big leap that you had to take. And what did you tell yourself? And here's the thing. I have found in my experience, my ego is the most dramatic part of me that could ever exist. Like, there's so many times, like when I went to the meditation retreat, right? And my ego's telling me, you better write a will before you go, because you're going to probably die on the airplane. And that's the thing. My ego always goes to death, right? Yeah. Like it's like ultimate, which makes sense, because as soon as I take that leap, the part of me that was terrified is dying off.
Yeah.
So it's like, we need to write a will. We are going to die. You're doing this thing, la, 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 la. And it's not even that the ego's dying off. It's that the ego's going, oh, we didn't die. Now it's transformed into the light part of me, or the higher part of me, because it's going, oh, I was bigger than that. Okay.
Yeah.
I can survive that. Okay. So, yeah, but ego does tend to be dramatic. So if you're like, oh, all this horrible stuff is going to happen, maybe, but also give it a try and see what is on the other side of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like when you think of some of the worst case scenarios, like of positions that you could be in, and I'm talking about freedom, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're a prisoner of war.
Yeah.
What your freedom is that you don't care that where you are, you just don't want to be here. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to be locked up in this, whatever, you don't want to be overseen by people that are from a different country or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
All you want is not to be there. You're not going, I'm afraid of what's out there. I just don't want to be here.
Yeah.
You know, anything is better than this place right here.
Yeah.
So, but we don't do that when it comes to these other situations, right?
Yeah.
Like if we're in a bad job, we don't go, I just don't want to be here. We go, okay, well, this is just, I have to be, I have to be
This is what my
here.
job is. Yeah.
A prisoner's not sitting there going, no, I have to be here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I guess you would come to some
I think there would have to be
where
some
you're
sort
like,
of acceptance.
you know,
yeah.
yes, I am here,
Yeah.
but this is not where I want to be.
Yes.
But they're not looking and making like,
they don't have a choice. As to
I don't
when
want
they
to go to Canada. I don't want to go to the USA, or I don't want to go. They just don't want to be wherever that is.
Yeah.
And we get picky with our freedom, right? Where it's like,
yeah,
oh, I don't want this, but I don't want that, and I don't want that, and I don't want that. Instead of going, okay, this is making me feel trapped.
Yeah.
I need to move on from this.
Yeah.
Whatever this is, whatever the next step is, I got to take that next step and try it out.
Yeah.
And see what that looks like. And if it doesn't work, guess what? We have the choice. You can move on.
Yeah.
To the next thing and try that out.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I was talking to someone the other day, and she was telling me that she had left like this business that she was running, and then she was doing some side work, I'll call it. And then she got this kind of calling that she had to go to get a job at a restaurant. And she was like, I don't know why I had to get that job, but I knew that it was like calling me. So she went and she got this job at the restaurant. And then she was working there for 3.5 months, I think she said, or 4 months. And a customer came in, and she knew the moment that the customer walked in that she was supposed to do something with this person. And it turned out to be like a big psychic kind of event for both her and this person. And after that, she could quit the job. Right. And so she was listening to these callings, and a lot of times the callings don't make sense. Right. Like if you write it down on paper and you go, I'm going to quit this job, and then I'm going to freelance for 3 months, then I'm going to get a job at a restaurant, even though like the scale pay or the pay scale is completely opposite of what I was just earning. But this is the next best step for my soul. Right. Because I need to do this one piece. And as soon as I've got this one piece done, then I can move on to whatever the next thing is. And I can see this throughout my life as well, where it's like I've been called to do this, or I've been called to go to this store, or whatever. And I've seen you play it out too, where it's like I've got this thing, need to do it. And as soon as you do, it's almost like other pieces start to come through.
Yeah.
But the longer you deny it, the harder it seems to get. And the bigger that ego force seems to get as well. Because I think if you're denying it, you're feeding the ego, right? You're letting it get bigger and bigger.
Well, I agree. And it will always find a way to play out the way it needs to play out, right? So you can look at that thing and go, no, I'm not going to do that. What's going to come up again? In some way, shape, or form, that challenge or that calling is there for purpose.
Yeah.
And either you take that on,
Yeah.
or you don't. It doesn't really matter. But it's going to come up in a different way, shape, or form. Maybe sometimes more challenging, sometimes not.
Yeah.
Right? But I think, it's one of those things that when you have that piece of why not answer that, and or just more so what I do is I take note of it now, where I used to look for, okay, what is the reasoning, what is the whatever behind this, and now it's just like, okay, I'm going to put that in my back pocket, and I'm going to remember that there's something here.
There's this piece here, I think too, like when you talk about this idea of freedom, is understanding how much freedom of choice we actually have, right? Like it's like, this is literally a choice. And if this is your reality right now, why are you choosing it? If you don't like it, why are you choosing it? And why are you still talking about it 2 weeks later or 2 years later or 10 years later? Like, why haven't you done anything to change it? You know, and again, I've done this where I've bitched about the same thing over and over and over again. And now it's like, why didn't I do something about it that much sooner and realize that I actually had a choice in it, right? And that's the value of freedom right there, is you have a choice.
Yeah, and I was going to say that is, within even all of these things that we've been talking about, different pieces of freedom coming up, whether it's, again, relationships or job or just your mindset, it comes down to that simple fact, is a choice. But even within those different scenarios, there's a micro to that, right? You have a choice. If you're in a bad relationship or a bad job, you have a choice to see it that way or not.
Yes.
Right? You have a choice. If you're in a job that you don't like, you can make the best of that job.
Yes.
You can build your skill set within that realm to better yourself. The job can be horrible. The people you work with can be horrible. But you can go in every day and go, I am going to challenge myself in here. Because this is what I need to work with. So I can choose. This is my freedom. Within this prison of this relationship or this job. But this is my little glimpse of freedom.
I'm going to serve myself. I'm going to give myself the skills, and I'm going to allow this job to pay my bills and whatever else. And you can change your entire thought process about it. And another example I'll give is before we moved into this house, we were living in a townhouse complex, and it was kind of a crappy looking townhouse when we moved into it. You know, it wasn't ideal, but over time, we started redoing it and renovating it and stuff. And we knew we had a baby on the way. We knew we needed to move out. We were not finding places that we wanted. We were stuck there. But I feel like when we started renovating, because like I believe we literally painted the bathroom, painted the kitchen. Everything was like, oh, this is really starting to look nice now. And then we finally found this house, right? And I think when you allow yourself to choose to make the best of where you're at in any given situation, and you start to appreciate what you have, that's where the doors open up to other possibilities as well. Because I feel like the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, if you're sitting there going, oh, I hate this, this is awful, it's awful, I can't get out, they're not going to go, oh, here's another opportunity for you to start bitching about. Right? Nobody wants to give anyone anything that they're just going to complain about. So I do believe that there's a lot of value in being very appreciative for the position that you're in at any point in time, which I'm not always. Like, I will admit that. Sometimes it's hard to be grateful for something that isn't the preferred reality. But if you can find those pieces of gratitude or make the best of it, like you were saying, I do believe it does help that energy to start to move and to roll and to pull more in. And there's
Well,
freedom in that.
Yeah, and finding that little piece of freedom does bring in those positive things, right?
Yeah.
So, although you have this thing, this construct, maybe it's negative that you're working within this, again, relationship, job, place, mindset, whatever that prison is, and whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
If you can find that little piece that, that little piece of freedom that gives you joy, lets you express, you're now tapping into a different energy.
Yeah.
So you're surrounded by all this stuff that's going on, bombs dropping, whatever, crap going to, but you're still like, I'm still smiling.
Yeah.
I can still find that one little piece.
Yeah.
And it will start to blossom. It will start to bloom. You'll still start to, you start to get momentum on that freedom.
Yes.
And then you start to push things more, and you do start to soften your ego, and you start to see that, oh, so you mean for me to get from here on this side of the prison with the bars, all I have to do is choose, and I can go onto the other side.
Yeah.
And you remove your ego, and all of a sudden, look at, now I'm free of this.
Well, and I think there's two parts that I want to bring up here. One of the things I think we always have to remember is that, yes, when we're the prisoner, we are also the prison walls, and we are also the guard, and we are also the lock, and we are also the key.
Yeah.
We are all of the parts that create that kind of prison for us. And the moment that you decide, I don't deserve to be in this prison anymore, and I'm going to just step out of it, is the moment everything can change.
Yeah. And I think that's what we're describing, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what your location, your situation, all
Yeah.
this. We create these prisons.
Yes.
And we are, like you said, are the guards, are the key holder, are the bars. We're the prisoner, we're the everything.
Yeah.
And really, it is a choice. You can be in any one of those situations, like you were saying, and you can take what we just said about being the prisoner or the guard, and you can see how that fits.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah. Well, and every time you give in to the ego, so if your heart's going, I need to get out of here, and then the ego's like, oh, it's too scary, we can't do that because we're going to lose our financial stability, and I spent 17 years at this job, so I should stay at this job, whatever, I need the pension, whatever it might be, right? So essentially the prisoner is saying to the guard, I need out of here. And you're literally looking back at yourself and being like, no, you need to stay here. This is where you are.
you're safe in this prison.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And the other part I wanted to bring up too, when you were saying, you can find peace even if there's like bombs going off all around you and stuff. One of the most powerful cinematic moments that I witnessed, it's always stayed with me, in the series, a movie series Left Behind. It's like, I don't know if you've ever seen the movies, but Kirk Cameron, it's like the end of the world apocalypse and the returning of Christ and all of that. But they're in a war over in the Middle East somewhere, and there's bombs going off everywhere, and there's like guards that are running around, or army soldiers, whatever. They're shooting each other. And this young girl, probably 14 to 16 years old, steps forward and she starts singing Amazing Grace. And it is like this light is just illuminating off of her. And as she sings Amazing Grace, all of the prisoners or the guards and the soldiers around her get kind of frozen. And the two people that were like trying to escape are able to escape because she's singing this song, and they're frozen. They can't move because there's so much light that's radiating from her. And it's a moment that's always stayed with me, where it's like the power of that faith in that moment, the power of her expressing the only way that she knew how to, even the power of the lyrics of the song, that can be enough. Right? And I would invite people, if you do have these bombs or all these kind of terrifying things happening around you, is to just find steady foot in your faith and to know that that is enough.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I was going to kind of touch on that too, is that freedom piece does take faith.
Yeah.
I know that I've experienced some pretty tough situations, and you really have to dig in. You really have to default to faith to go, you know what? No, I'm free. This is okay.
Yeah.
I know there's purpose in why this is going on.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I don't need to get upset. I don't need to worry. I don't need to be afraid of anything, because I know that this is for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to say as well, like, it does, just because you're going, I don't need to have fear, doesn't mean that fear is not coming up.
Oh, no.
I don't need to worry.
Yeah.
You're right. But worry might come up. And then you have to, like, remind yourself with that fear and with that worry and with even that angst or that pushback against whatever is, that no, there's something divine about this. There's a reason it's shown up.
Yeah. And that's where you have to lean on that faith piece, right? It's like, nope, don't listen to that voice.
Yeah.
Go, it will be okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I know it's scary. Yeah, I know it hurts. Yes, I know it seems like this is never going to end.
Yeah.
But it will. And it will be okay. Yeah. And it just, it is so hard. And it is I'm not trying to downplay anybody's situation.
Yeah.
But I would just reiterate that.
Well, and it's something you have to practice,
yeah.
Right? I was just reading in A Course in Miracles this week as well, which was also talking about freedom and whatnot. But essentially, when we feel that kind of suffering that comes along with life showing up in a way that we don't want it to, it's because the ego is essentially believing that it's no longer the thing that it identified as, or it is something that it has identified as and it doesn't want to be.
Yes.
Right? So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, where it's like, maybe if it's a relationship breakdown, I was a wife.
Yeah.
Now I can't be a wife, and now I need to break down completely because that entire identity is now falling away. Or I was a manager.
Yeah.
Now all of that identity has to fall away, and that's painful.
And it's a good segue into the next thing that I want to talk about. Is we're not this, right? Like,
yes,
I know our ego identifies us as, man, woman, this, that, but we're not. We are just here. We are these
just energy
beings. We are just energy.
Yeah.
But don't get so tied to your title of man, manager, super worker, whatever that is, parent. You are just this. You just are here having these experiences. Because what happens when people get tied to these or anchored to these titles is when they're challenged, and it does happen, you start to not know who you are. Yeah. Right? Oh, without this, what am I? Yeah. Without being a dad, what am I? Without being a worker, what am I? Without being... You are still this, no matter what. Everything's stripped away. You are still this divine being playing out these experiences. So don't get so attached to that title of what you are, because you're not really that. It's an illusion.
Yeah, it's just it's a title.
Feed your ego to continue on with playing out these other illusions that are going on throughout the world.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about the identities as well is there is some sort of subconscious programming that comes along with identity. Oh, you're dad? So this must mean this is what you are. This is how you perform. This is the things you say, the things you do, whatever. Yeah. And then if you don't fall into those kind of paradigms, well, now you're a good dad or you're a bad dad. Right? And the truth of the matter is, all that makes a dad is the ability to create a child. Or sometimes not even, because sometimes it's the ability to raise a child, right? So either way, it's still a dad that's been made. But the other thing I wanted to say too is when you're talking about like, you just are, it's like, I got to hold on to a baby today. She was so sweet and so perfect. She's only 6 weeks old. So I'm giving her some identities with that. But we have no idea who she's going to be as she grows up, right? We have no idea what these identities are going to be. But right now in this moment, we can look at her and we can go, you are perfect. You're absolutely divinely perfect. And somehow, some way, as people grow up, we do start to lose this idea or lose this belief that they're still perfect and that they're still divine, right? And so now suddenly we've got this perfect baby that is a 3-year-old who is like, I am 3, and they're identified with being 3, right?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
proud of it and whatever. And our daughter, actually, when she was turning 3, she did not want to be 3. She wanted to be 2 forever.
Yeah.
And she was so identified with being 2, cried on her birthday. And so this is like where these false identities, they start to happen, but we do give importance to them. And we go, the fact that you're 3 is more important now than the fact that you are a divine being.
Yeah.
Like, how wild.
Well, think about it. The more labels that we put on, the
more-
more expectations we have, right? So, like you said, you're a dad, you should be X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
You're a man, you should be X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
We don't look at a baby and go, you're a baby, you should be X, Y, and Z. You don't have a label yet.
Yeah.
But now when you are 3 years old, now you have a label. You're a 3-year-old.
Oh, you're a big
you
girl
should
now.
be do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
It is absolutely wild. And I mean, I've fallen into that trap so many times and raised kids without even having the thought of where did I go from going, this is absolutely perfect, to why is my child acting like this?
And when we strip away all of those labels, we realize we are all perfect
And divine.
right here.
Yep.
Whatever the situation, no matter what, and we are free.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too, because I don't know how many times I've heard where people are like, well, they're 14, they should know better. Or they're 23, they should know better. Or he's an adult, he should start acting like one, and whatever. And so just in the idea of ages, the amount of expectation we have on age without even being able to see anybody's life experience.
Yeah.
Because life experience to me, and emotional regulation and emotional intelligence and psychological support, all of that means so much more than the number a person carries.
Well, that number, we've collectively put an expectation on what that means.
Yes. When you're 20, you
And
should
not
be...
knowing anything about that person, their life, or what
Yeah.
they've gone through, we automatically think that everybody should be the exact same, and you've had the exact same experience, so you should
Yeah.
do exactly like everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's not the case.
Well, I mean,
And
that's
it's
just the ego that's
and then-
creating this
then we-
idea.
But then we get mad because that person's not meeting that expectation that they never knew they needed to meet.
Yeah, or sometimes they might have known I need to meet this, but they've never actually had the same tools, the same experiences, the same support as what perhaps you have. So there's no way they can actually meet that expectation, right?
But it's those labels that are putting us in that box, right? It is
It
not.
is.
It has nothing to do with them and me not
You're
knowing.
absolutely right.
It's what I've created for them.
Yes. Which is actually your own expectation on yourself that you've now forced onto somebody else, because you were either accepting yourself as that, so you think everybody should be that, or you absolutely can't accept yourself as that, so you think everybody else should be the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Like, it's a wild mind game that we all play. And we just...
And all we have to do is step back from it, right?
Yeah.
That's really all we have to do.
Well, and to just ask yourself, like, and I do this a lot now, like, what part of me believes that it should be this way?
Yeah.
What part of me has identified with this so much that this is feeling painful to me?
Yeah.
What part of me believes that they should be this way, and now this is painful to, like, I never look at a butterfly and go, you're not meeting my expectations. You're so disappointing, butterfly. I never look at a sunset and go, oh, that's a bad sunset. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So why are we putting these labels onto people and these identifications onto people and these expectations? Because here's the thing. We all unknowingly do it.
Yep.
And we all get so pissed if someone places an expectation on us, like, who do you think I am?
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to do that for you just because, like, yeah, it's a wild ego game. It really is. And there's so much freedom when you can finally, I'm going to say, separate yourself from the ego. Not that we're erasing the ego. We're always going to have an ego part of us. But you can have I used to have the ego that came up, and it was like, the ego is the one who's speaking now. And now it's, sometimes the ego still comes up and it's like, I am the one who's speaking. But I would say more times than not, there is a higher part of me that is able to observe what the ego is saying. And that higher part of me can go, okay, So I've got some sadness coming up with my ego right now. Or just today, I had a conversation with you about a situation for next weekend where the ego part of me was like, I don't want to do this because they didn't do this back here. And my ego's like, no, if they're not going to do it for me, I'm not going to do it for them. And then the higher part of my mind is like, you're going to do this because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Because no matter what their actions are, you don't have to become like them. And so it's like the ego's still there, but it's not controlling the situation. And there is so much freedom in that, where you don't have to give the ego the main stage.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're the side stage act, or you're the study. Like, you can watch what's happening here.
I like to think of it, and again, I've said it before, but like harmonizing with your ego. There's a time, and I don't want to like belittle my ego and be like, no, you sit in the corner and I'll tell you when it's your turn.
Yeah.
I'm more like, there's a time, and when it's time, I'll let you go. I'll let you do what you need to do. But,
Yeah.
you know, at this point, I got this, don't worry.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do this. When I need you, I will, you know.
Absolutely.
I'll let you do what you need to do.
Absolutely. Like, there is a part of our egos that is showing up for this, that's going, I want to be seen.
Yeah.
So I'm going to sit in front of a camera and I'm going to speak. I want people to hear me. I think what I have to say is of value, whatever. So this is all ego based, but also the higher mind is at play going, what is the best message that we can get out? So you want to be seen, you want to be heard. I've got you, but let's do this in the best way.
Yeah.
So I do kind of equate it to like a parent with a child, where it's like, you know, you kind of show the child, do you want the red shirt or do you want the blue shirt today?
I would agree. And I agree that there's different levels of that relationship.
Yeah.
With your ego, where, if you let your ego run the show, it is that spoiled little brat that's running around going, I'm going to do whatever I want and I'm going to blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And that parent-child relationship. But I think as we grow and as we really tune into ourselves, you can come to that leveling out with your ego.
Well, I would agree too that as you
take care of each other,
as you take care of the parts of you that were wounded in the past, I believe that you're growing up inside of yourself by reparenting yourself for all of the parts that, you know, didn't feel heard or understood or loved, or they felt abandoned or whatever, and you become that parent for them, and you go, okay, I've got you. I understand your pain more than anybody. So I've got you. And as soon as that child's self, the inner child, is feeling heard, is feeling understood, is no longer feeling ashamed for what their experience was, no longer feeling unloved or whatever, that child naturally starts to grow up. Yeah. Right? Because we get stunted in all of these experiences that we've had. We get stunted there. And then we keep reenacting that. And we go, why does nobody love me? Well, it's because you're still the 2-year-old begging for love and throwing a temper tantrum, begging for love. And not that that's a bad thing. Right? It's okay that you want love. But you need to find a way to express your desire for love without crapping all over everybody.
And I do think it really comes back to just being seen or heard, or seen and heard, however you want, validated.
I always say seen, heard, understood, and loved. Those are the 4 basic requirements.
However you want to put it, I'm going to lump it into one. Everybody just wants to be
seen.
Whatever, right?
Yeah, acknowledged, validated.
I see you, you see me. Let's acknowledge that we're here, and let's, we don't need to validate each other, but everybody wants to know that somebody sees them. And, you hear these different situations and different things. But when you look at the ground floor of that, it really does just come to that people want to be seen.
Yeah.
Seen, heard, felt, whatever. But I mean, I will just say it. They want to be seen.
Yeah, yeah. And there's so much power in that too. Like when you're feeling seen, and I've had this experience with you many times where It's like I'm expressing whatever hurt, pain, thoughts, ideas, or whatever, and I know you're seeing me. I know you're understanding me. You're not arguing with me. You're not trying to tell me how it is or anything like that. You're just holding that space. And I feel like I do the same for you, where it's like, let us just see the truth here. And I do believe in a lot of relationships where it starts to kind of falter is if I have an expectation of what I think I'm supposed to see from you instead of what you actually want me to see, right? Because we can get so blinded, I'm going to say, to who someone really is, the pain that they carry, the experiences that they've had, whatever, because we've got this kind of false narrative that we've placed over them and went, you're supposed to be this all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And when it's like they show us this new part of themselves, a lot of us will reject the new parts, right? Even a husband that's like, I'm going to try to be a better man for you. And the wife's like, well, you haven't been for 10 years, so now you can't be. And every time he tries to show up, well, now this is too late. I don't want this now because I asked you for 10 years to do this, so why would I want it now? And it's like, well, now you're not even giving him the possibility to change, right? Which then comes back to the step out of the relationship at that point in time if you don't want to accept that change. That was a side tangent.
But I mean, even if you can't, or even if you choose not to, and I've had this discussion with a number of people, if you're in a situation where, you know, sometimes you're stuck in a relationship, and I'll say stuck loosely because yes, we'd love to change this situation, or I'd love to change this, I just can't. Yeah. And okay, you can, because, you know, as I'll go to a David Hawkins quote, you know, if somebody put a gun to your head, you will make a decision.
Yeah.
And you will, because it's you will or you will not be here.
Yeah.
So if you can't, again, I'll go back to that piece of freedom within that microcosm, right? Of find your peace, find your freedom within that piece.
Yeah.
Within that relationship, within that job, find that little piece and build from there.
Yeah.
Sure, yes, this is still here, it's still all this stuff, but at least I have this.
Yeah.
And this can, you know.
Yeah. And the other thing I would add to that too is like, if you're stuck and you're like, I don't have a choice and I don't know how to change this or fix this or I can't, right? A lot of us get really focused on the I don't know how, right? Which is the ego getting all kind of kerfuffled going, I need to find out how before I can move forward. And the greatest thing with how is knowing that it's an ego question. The universe, God, whatever, cannot answer an ego question because God, universe, doesn't understand an ego question. But you can ask that question of yourself, I don't know how. I'm just going to surrender it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to surrender this entire situation. Whatever it needs to be is exactly what it's going to be. And that comes down to trust. It comes down to letting go of that control, letting go of that preferred reality, all of that, which is difficult at times. It's challenging is what I'll call it, not difficult. You're going to meet edges of yourself that are like, I don't want to let go of that or whatever. But as you do that, it's like you're giving that invitation to God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, to come into your life and do what the divine does. So I think I've gotten so caught up in the hows before, right? And the hows become like, they become the prison walls, trying to figure out A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's not my job to, right? I don't need to know how do I get someone to give up an addiction. That's not my job, right? I shouldn't even be judging the addiction as good or bad. I should just go, this is where they're at. I need to surrender this because I don't know how to help. I surrender it.
Yeah.
God, show me your magic.
And just going back to that little piece, if you can find within that space, right, it will make that space brighter.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it will start shining the light on those things that you were like, oh, you know, I don't like the relationship because this person doesn't do this. But then you'll start to see, oh, but this, or even the job. It's like, yeah, but this part is really good, or this is getting better. Things will start to change, but I just challenge people, find that little piece of freedom and it will make you smile. It will make you happy. And it will bloom. It'll blossom. It will continue to grow.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, think about it, walking the Camino and you have all this stuff on your back. It is like walking through life and you're just kind of letting things go, right? As you're walking, you're taking things out of the backpack and things are getting lighter, and eventually it's like...
But do you know what's wild too?
It's very light and it's very free.
Yes. What I think is like very interesting. I and another pilgrim had this experience where the backpack was really heavy at the beginning of the journey. And I was like, oh my God, my shoulders were sore, my back was sore, whatever. Now, of course, I brought some nuts and stuff like that with me. So it did physically start to get lighter because I had 2 pounds of nuts. So 2 pounds were obviously physically gone from the backpack. But in the last week and a half to 2 weeks of walking, it didn't even feel like I was wearing a backpack anymore. Like I was so accustomed to it. Now, my strength could have built.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I do feel like the emotional and mental weight that I let go of as I was walking was the actual weight of the backpack that was just being gone. And this other pilgrim, Christine, as we were walking one day, she's like, I checked like 3 times today to see if I still had my backpack on because I thought I lost it. And it's like, oh no, it's still there. But it almost becomes like one with you because it's no longer, I don't know what it is. There is some sort of magic where it does seem like your backpack disappears and you still have it, but you're no longer in resistance, I guess, to what you're carrying, perhaps.
That brings up, could be the next show that we do is, it's interesting because here I'm talking about, you're getting rid of it and it's this energetic freedom. And you're almost talking about, I know that's a little bit different, but it is becoming complacent, right? It's becoming complacent to all the stuff that's in the backpack.
Yeah.
And you're now used to it. So I'll carry the weight of the world on my shoulders. It's okay.
But it's not like that though.
No, but
I understand
you saying
what you're
this
saying.
this is what has spawned inside of me is like,
yeah.
No, because a lot of people do that.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I was totally one of those people.
I will just spend 20 years in this relationship because this is what I have to do as a mother or as a wife or husband, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'll carry the backpack and it's okay. Now I'm used to it now. It's fine.
Yeah. But it's so interesting. So I feel like I know we're getting close to the end of our podcast and I've got time. I've got plenty of time.
You're good.
I was about to pause myself on my expression. So it's interesting to me to give a bit of a backstory. My great-great-great-grandfather back in 1837, I know, it's a
Maybe
long
you don't
story.
have...
Back in 1837, he read the book Martyrs and Mirrors, which was a book that was written in the 16th century about the persecutions of many people due to their faith. And when I heard about the book back in 2014-ish, I'd say, I purchased it off of Chapters, and it's a huge book. It's like this thick. It's big. It's thick. Whatever. And I set it on the shelf. I never really read it. I just knew that this book changed this man's life. And about 3 weeks ago, I think, our son, he came downstairs. He was talking to us about what sound does a cuckoo clock make. And we're like, a cuckoo. He's like, but why do we call it that? Whatever. So I went to search, and the cuckoo clock was made outside of the Black Forest in Germany. And that's the forest that this great-great-great-grandfather, after he read the book, he actually started walking through the Black Forest. He got over to the ocean. He became a stowaway, got on a ship and then became a stowaway and came across to North America, hence why I'm here today. So this book changed his life and it helped renew his faith and whatnot. So 3 weeks ago, when our son brought this up and I seen it was the Black Forest, I was like, there's a reason that this Black Forest is coming up and whatnot. And then I had the thought to ask, what was the spiritual importance of Martyrs and Mirrors? And it turns out it was a book about having faith in the face of persecution and having faith despite what you're carrying or what not. And I have started reading the book now, but it's going to take me a long while to read it, and I need to finish A Course in Miracles first. But from what I can understand so far, so many of us will look at carrying that backpack for the rest of the world, or because I'm a mother or whatever, and we'll go, oh, woe is me. Look at me. I've had to do this. And we're not actually looking at, look at me. I can do this. This is an opportunity for me. Because as I've started reading the little bit of Martyrs and Mirrors, from what I can understand of it so far, it's like, don't pay attention to the fact that they were killed. Pay attention to the fact that they had so much faith that they did not care if they were killed.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, right. Because there's been so many times in my life where it's like, oh, don't attack me because of... But now it's like, right, it actually doesn't matter if you do attack me because of. I've got this connection. I am a divine being. I am embodying this. So it doesn't actually matter what you want to do to destroy that. You can't. No one can define or destroy a divine being.
Nobody can destroy energy, right? It just transforms.
And I started thinking about, like, Jesus dying on the cross, and everybody kind of focuses on the fact, like, he died for us. He died for our sins. He was hung on the cross and stuff. And it's like, he had faith. That's actually what his story is about, is he had faith and he trusted in God's plan more so than his own life.
Yeah.
And that's where I realized that's where my faith has faltered in the past, is I have not had enough faith, or my faith has kind of gone like this to go, if I have faith, nothing bad should happen, right? But it's like, faith is to get you through all the bad shit that's going to happen, that God has you no matter what happens. And that to me is the ultimate freedom.
Yeah.
That's like my drop.
Well, the whole journey of your grandfather was a journey of freedom.
It absolutely was,
right?
yeah.
And you think of Mirrors and Martyrs, that is two sides of that freedom coin.
Yeah.
It's, well, maybe one side. But no, I think that is, you're absolutely 100% right.
And how much freedom do you have from the world? Like, the idea of the world, the idea of the human experience. How much freedom is there to be like, it does not matter what happens here. Nothing will take me away from being a divine being, right? So I could screw up. I could be publicly humiliated. I could be attacked. I could get divorced. I could get married 10 times. I could fail as a mom. None of it actually matters. I am a divine being. And not to say none of this matters, because it's important, but it's not going to define me. It's not going to define you. It's not going to define anybody.
Yeah.
That we are just divine because we are divine. And that's the ultimate freedom. Like, this is my year of liberation. That's what I'm calling it. And it just feels like freedom and liberation are hand in hand with each other.
I agree. They are, definitely.
Yeah. I get fired up about this. Like, I can feel myself like, woo! Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I would say, in closing, because we're just about to the end here, again, I'll say my piece of that I've said more than once in this podcast is find your little piece of freedom and build off of that.
Yeah.
Really find that and, identify it, work on it, whatever it is, if you're in whatever situation, and have that faith that, yes, it will get better, but focus on that piece that, that is your piece. And it will grow, and you'll find so much freedom in that, and it will start to attract more and more and more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
And no matter what situation you're in, you have the choice to control that piece and to find that freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just going to ask this. When you're saying peace, are you saying P-I-E-C-E or are you saying P-E-A-C-E?
Both, right?
That's what I was hearing it as.
Because you can find that little piece, but
which
it's
is
also
the
peace within yourself,
yeah.
which is also the freedom.
Yes.
So they're all...
It's all interconnected. I was seeing it as both words. That's why I asked, because I was like, it's both.
It's just a little...
Yeah. Awesome. So, yes, thank you everybody for joining us for another week of the Sacred Exchange. As always, you can ask your questions, drop your comments, give us a like, subscribe. All those good things.
Thumbs
and
up.
we will see you. Yes, a thumbs up. And we will see you again next week right here on the Sacred Exchange.
Take care, folks.